In the name of Allah, the most merciful and beneficent. My dear viewers, Assalamu alaikum. I'm here with an explanation of a very interesting poem, that is The Toys, composed by Coventry Patmore. It is unit number 9 in the new course of grade 12. I hope it is useful and helpful for you. Dear viewers, on the title page, you can see some pictures, some images. There is a description of these images in the poem. These are the toys of a little child. The child has these toys by the side of his bed. For example, Coventry Patmore has told us that a boy has kept within his reach a box of counters. Now see, on the right side, below the shelves, there is a box of counters, image of the box of counters, like 1, 2, 3 and 4, which we usually give to the children to play with it, and they can learn it side by side. They can learn the digits, they can learn the alphabets. So this is the box of counter. Below, right below on the right side, then a red veined stone. Red veined stone, you can see the stones by the side of the counters, red veined stones. These stones with lines, with prints made inside them. You can see the designs, you can see the lines in these stones. These are red veined stones. Then a piece of glass abraded by the beach. You can see by the side of red veined stones, there are small pieces of glass on the beach of the sea, abraded by, which have been destroyed by, broken by, rubbed by. यानी पानी बार बार इसके ऊपर से आके गुजर जाता है, समंदर का पानी, और ये टूट फूट गए हैं, रफ हो चुके हैं ये, और बहुत abraded, बहुत यूं घिस गए हैं ये. Then he describes 6 or 7 shells. You can see right above the screen on the right side, seashells. Then there is a description of a bottle with bluebells, flowers of bluebells in the bottle. There may be a design in the bottle. Bluebells are designed on the bottle. This is a glass bottle maybe. Then he says that 2 French copper coins. Now there are French copper coins on the above screen, right on the left of the screen. There are French copper coins. So these are some of the toys described by the poet Coventry Patmore in the poem. I hope these images are clear to you, and you can well understand them when you are going through the lines. The Toys is written by one of the best known Victorian poets, Coventry Patmore. Coventry Patmore is a Victorian poet. This poem centers on a story of a father and son. ये नज़म बाप और बेटे के दरमियान कहानी पर बेस करती है. Patmore shares a personal incident that happened between him and his son. ये इसमें एक स्टोरी है, ये एक पर्सनल इंसिडेंट है पोएट और जो पोएट और उसके दरमियान ये वाकया, उसके बेटे के दरमियान ये वाकया पेश आया, उसको इसने पोम की शक्ल में हमारे सामने डिस्क्राइब किया। The toys consists of a total of 33 lines. Toys इस पोम में 33 lines हैं, grouped into a single stanza. It is grouped into a single stanza. There are no different separate stanzas but grouped into a single stanza. Patmore shifts from one idea to the other idea by using the end-stopped lines. He uses both the alternative rhyme scheme and the rhyming couplet form. Now, see the first stanza. My little son, who looked from thoughtful eyes and moved and spoke in quiet, grown-up wise. Having my law the 7th time disobeyed, I struck him and dismissed with hard words and unkissed his mother, who was patient, being dead. Now see, here he stops. There is a pause here with a full stop. In this stanza, Coventry Patmore describes why he got angry with his little son and how he acted in his angry mood. इस स्टैंजा में पोइट हमें ये बताता है कि वो अपने बेटे से, अपने छोटे बेटे से क्यों नाराज हो गया और उसने नाराजगी में कैसे एक्शन लिया. His son was sensitive and sensible too, as the poet himself says that his eyes were thoughtful and he behaved and spoke sensibly like grown-ups. यहाँ हमें इन लाइन से पता चलता है कि उसका बेटा बहुत सेंसिटिव है, सेंसिबल भी हो चुका है, क्योंकि पोइट खुद कहता है कि हिज आईज वर थॉटफुल. कुछ समझदार लोगों की तरह वो एक्ट कर रहा था, उसकी आंखों से नजर आ रहा था और वो बड़ों की तरह, एडल्ट्स की तरह बोल भी रहा था, बिहेव भी कर रहा था. His son disobeyed him many times by acting against his father's wish and mood. Now what happened that once his son disobeyed him many times by acting against the father's wish and father's mood, but when he did not listen to him the 7th time, जब 7वीं मर्तबा ऐसा हुआ कि उसके बेटे ने बदतमीजी की या अपने फादर की बात नहीं सुनी, he thought the boy might have become too wise to follow his orders. पोइट ने ये महसूस किया, उसको ये ख्याल आया कि ये इतना बड़ा हो गया है कि अब वो अपने बाप के ऑर्डर्स को नहीं समझता, उसको डिसोबे कर रहा है. Therefore, the poet struck him in hard words and ordered him to leave without the usual affectionate kisses that day because of his disobedience. इसलिए पोइट ने उसको बहुत बुरी तरह डांटा, सख्त अल्फाज में उसको डांटा और उसको ऑर्डर दे दिया कि वो कमरे से बाहर निकल जाए. Without any usual affectionate kisses that day because he used to. He might be kissing him before going to bed, but that day he rebuked him, he scolded him and sent him away without giving him a kiss. The mother of the little one had already died of some illness. So we came to know in this stanza, in the last line, that he was a motherless child. His mother had already passed away. So there was no one to console him. उसको तसल्ली देने वाला भी कोई नहीं था. Although Patmore beated him but rebuked. Although Patmore did not beat him. Patmore ने अपने बच्चे को मारा नहीं था, but rebuked his son in harsh words that broke his heart. लेकिन इतने सख्त अल्फाज में उसने अपने बेटे को डांटा कि उसका दिल टूट गया. In this stanza, the poet alludes to the death of his wife. There is an allusion, the reference, इशारा है किस तरफ, अपनी वाइफ की डेथ की तरफ भी इशारा करता है वो. I struck him and dismissed with hard words and unkissed Here, in this line, Patmore compares hard words to an object that is used to beat someone. I struck him. Struck means यानी कि मैंने उसे मारा, लेकिन इन फैक्ट उसने अपने बेटे को मारा नहीं था, बल्कि उसके वर्ड्स इतने सख्त थे दैट इट स्ट्रक हिम राइट इन द हार्ट. The poet has used, now here there is another now literary device, that is synecdoche. Synecdoche is a figure of speech in which a part is made to represent the whole. एक ऐसा word use किया जाता है कि जिसको पूरा meaning जो है वो एक word के अंदर समा जाता है. Now, for example, in a cricket match, it is sometimes announced that England lost by 6 wickets. Now here, England, it means that the English cricket team. So, synecdoche, here the poet has used this literary device, that is synecdoche, as it occurs in the expression thoughtful eyes. Thoughtful eyes means that he has become mature. The poet refers to the boy as being thoughtful and wise. So, synecdoche is used here, and moved and spoke in quite grown-up wise. Here, and is repeated for the sake of emphasis as well. So, enjambment is also used in the first and the fourth line. Now, paraphrasing of the poem. My little son looked very wise through his eyes, and he moved and spoke like grown-up people. He disobeyed my orders 7 times, and I struck him hard and sent him away without giving him kiss on that day. He was motherless child, as his mother had already passed away due to illness, so there was no one to console him. I hope this stanza is clear to you. Coming to stanza number 2, he says that, then fearing lest his grief should hinder sleep, I visited his bed, but found him slumbering deep, with darkened eyelids and their lashes yet from his late sobbing wet. Now see, in this stanza we feel the natural feelings of the parent after scolding his child. यानी ये पेरेंट्स की नेचुरल फीलिंग्स होती हैं. इन देयर एंगर दे यूज टू स्कोल्ड और रिब्यूक देयर चिल्ड्रन, बट सून आफ्टरवर्ड्स दे आर रिपेंटेंट, यू नो, they feel repentant, they repent on it, and definitely they try to console their children. ये हर पेरेंट की फीलिंग होती है कि जब वो बच्चे को डांटते हैं तो उसके बाद उनको अफसोस होता है इस बात पे, और वो फिर बच्चे को तसल्ली देने की कोशिश करते हैं. सेम हैपेंड विद द पोएट Coventry Patmore. He says के उसके फौरन बाद उन्हें ये एहसास हुआ that parents always become restless when they scold or rebuke their children and try to console them after some time. Same is the case with Patmore, as after some time the poet realized that he had made a mistake, कि उसने तो गलती कर ली, as his son was lonely since his mother had died. उसका बेटा बिल्कुल अकेला है क्योंकि उसकी मदर भी फौत हो चुकी है. He says that being aware of the fact and feared that his son could not sleep because he must be feeling pain due to the harshness. अब उसे ये खौफ था, ये डर था, और ये हकीकत भी है कि, और उसे ये डर भी था कि उसका बेटा सो नहीं सकेगा क्योंकि उसे बहुत दुख हुआ है अपने फादर की सख्ती पे. उसे बहुत दुख हुआ होगा that the poet had inflicted upon his heart, जो कि जाहिरी बात है पोइट की वजह से उसके दिल पे जो गुजरी या उसके दिल को जो दुख हुआ. ही वेंट टू हिज रूम एंड फाउंड दैट ही वाज ऑलरेडी अस्लीप. पोइट उसके रूम में गया लेकिन देखा कि वो पहले ही सो चुका था. ही वॉज इन डीप स्लम्बर, वो बहुत गहरी नींद में था. बट इट सीम्ड एज इफ ही हैड बीन वीपिंग इन बेड फॉर अ लॉन्ग टाइम. लेकिन ऐसा लग रहा था कि वो बहुत लंबे वक्त के लिए वो कहीं रोता रहा था. His eyelids had become swollen. उसकी आंखें, जो उसकी eyelids थी, वो सूजी हुई थी. वो they were swelled up. आंख के ऊपर का जो हिस्सा है जिसको पपोटा कहते हैं, ये भी स्वेल कर गया था रोने की वजह से. He was in deep slumber, but it seemed as if he had been weeping in bed for a long time. His eyelids had become swollen and dark from sobbing, and यानी वो कहीं सिसकियां ले लेके रोता रहा था. And his eyelashes were still wet, और उसकी पलकें अब भी गीली थीं. This image of his son evoked a sense of guilt in his heart. अपने बेटे को ऐसे देख के उसके दिल में बहुत उसको अपनी गलती का एहसास हुआ. Besides, Patmore makes use of organic imagery in order to convey the internal feelings of the father and son. Now here the poet has used organic imagery. Organic imagery, it relates to personal experiences of a character's body, including his emotions, sense of hunger, thirst, fatigue, pain. This is called organic imagery. So the poet has used organic imagery in order to convey the internal feelings of the father and son. कि बेटे की क्या feelings हैं, कि वो कितना रोता रहा, उसे कितना दुख हुआ, वो कैसे उसकी आईलिड्स भी स्वेल कर गई थी, उसकी आई लैशेस भी अभी तक गीली थी, कि वो बहुत ज़्यादा रोता रहा. और अब फादर को कितना उसकी गलती का एहसास हो रहा है, कितना दुख हो रहा है इस बात पे. सो द पोइट हैज़ यूज्ड ऑर्गेनिक इमेजरी हियर. Paraphrase, then I feared lest my harsh words might have grieved him so much that he could not sleep properly. I visited his bed and found him sleeping fast. But it was quite clear from his swollen eyelids that he had been sobbing for a long time. His eyelashes were still wet, and there were drops of tears sparkling over them. Now stanza number 3. And I with moan, kissing away his tears, left others of my own. For on the table, drawn beside his head, he had put within his reach a box of counters and a red-veined stone, a piece of glass abraded by the beach, and 6 or 7 shells, a bottle with blue bells, and 2 French copper coins raying there with careful art to comfort his sad heart. Now, explanation. Parents can't see their children in pain and grief as it gives them more pain. वालदैन अपने बच्चों को पेन और दुख और तकलीफ में नहीं देख सकते क्योंकि ये उनको ज़्यादा तकलीफ देता है. Therefore, seeing his son's eyes swollen with excessive weeping and eyelashes still wet, the father becomes so emotional. अब फादर जो है वो Coventry Patmore बहुत जज्बाती हो गया that he could not help crying and moaning, that he started crying himself. He started moaning. Moaning means to make a long, low sound of pain and suffering. उर्दू में जिसे आप करहाना कहते हैं, वो करहाने लगा बहुत दर्द से, दुख से. He started kissing away his tears. Now he started kissing his eyes and his wet eyes, his cheeks. But during that, his own tears fell on the child's face because he was weeping bitterly. बहुत बुरी तरह वो रो रहा था, दुख से वो रो रहा था फादर. तो जब वो अपने बच्चे को की आईज को, उसकी वेट लैशेस को किस कर रहा था, उसके फेस चीक्स को, वेट चीक्स को किसेस कर रहा था, तो उसके अपने टीयर्स उसके चीक्स पे गिर रहे थे. The poet had seen that in order to disport himself, the child had arranged some toys on the table which he had drawn near to his bed. To divert his attention, to amuse himself, or to enjoy, or here it is more suitable that to divert his attention or to console himself. The most suitable word must be to console himself. What did the child do? The child had arranged some toys on the table. उस बच्चे ने अपने एक टेबल पे अपने खिलौनों को अरेंज करके रखा और उसको टेबल को ड्रैग करके अपने बेड के साइड पे ले आया. There on the table he had put his favorite toys like a box of counters. आपने देखा था कि टाइटल स्क्रीन पे बॉक्स ऑफ काउंटर्स जिसमें या तो डिजिट्स होते हैं या अल्फ़ाबेट्स होते हैं जो हम बच्चों को अमूमन खेलने के लिए देते हैं. A, B, C डिफरेंट अल्फ़ाबेट्स की शेप्स बनी हुई होती हैं और उनको वो निकाल के रखते जब उनको अरेंज करते हैं या डिजिट्स, तो वो बॉक्स ऑफ काउंटर्स था. अ रेड वेन्ड स्टोन, आपने टाइटल पेज पे रेड वेन्ड स्टोन्स देखे थे. उनमें ये होता है कि स्टोन्स के अंदर जो प्रिंट्स बने हुए होते हैं, लाइंस जैसे वेन्स बनी हुई होती हैं, ऐसे लगते हैं छोटी छोटी रगें हैं उसके अंदर फैली हुई. अ पीस ऑफ अ ब्रेडेड ग्लास, कुछ कांच के टुकड़े थे जो कि उसने कोई सी शोर से उठा लिए थे. अ ब्रेडेड विच इज़ वेरी रफ, जो पानी बार बार उनके ऊपर से पानी गुजरता था और वो अब रफ हो चुके थे, टूटे फूटे से थे. बट देयर वर पीसेज ऑफ अ ब्रेडेड ग्लास. सम शेल्स, देयर वर सी शेल्स टू. अ बॉटल विद ब्लू बेल फ्लावर्स, एक बॉटल थी जिसके ऊपर ब्लू बेल फ्लावर्स का डिजाइन बना हुआ था. एंड 2 फ्रेंच कॉपर कॉइन्स एंड 2 कॉपर कॉइन्स. दीज ऑल थिंग्स वर द टॉयज ऑफ हिज इंटरेस्ट. शायद ये उसके इंटरेस्ट की चीज़ें थी जो अपना दिल बहलाने के लिए उसने टेबल पे अरेंज कर ली और उनको अपने बेड के नज़दीक ले आया था. शायद वो उनको देखता रहा हो अपने आप को तसल्ली देने के लिए, क्योंकि वो बहुत दुख में था. वो रोता रहा, फिर उसने इनसे दिल बहलाया इन टॉयज से और फिर वो सो गया. Everything was arranged carefully. It showed how valuable the toys were to the boy. ये हमें बताता है कि ये टॉयज़ उसके लिए कितने वैल्यूएबल होंगे कि इस वक्त शदीद दुख की हालत में. इसका मतलब है कि ये टॉयज़ उसके बहुत डियरेस्ट थे जो उसने अपने पास अरेंज किए, तो उसने थोड़ा सा अपना इन टॉयज़ ने उसका दिल बहलाया. दीज थिंग्स वर नॉट एक्सट्रीमली रेयर और प्रेशियस. ये चीज़ें बहुत इतनी कोई नायाब नहीं थी, बहुत कीमती चीज़ें नहीं थी. बट फॉर द बॉय दे हैड इमेंस वैल्यू. ज़ाहिर है बच्चों के लिए तो वो छोटी छोटी चीज़ें बहुत वैल्यूएबल होती हैं जो उनको खुशी देती हैं. He had given several hours to find these items. It showed that he found solace in his toys. इसका मतलब है कि उसने अपने इन खिलौनों में ही अपनी तसल्ली का, अपने आप को तसल्ली देने का जरिया ढूंढा. विच ही न्यू वुड नेवर हर्ट हिम, क्योंकि उसे पता था कि ये टॉयज उसको कभी दुख नहीं देंगे. द पोएट हैज personified रेड वेन्ड स्टोन एज हैविंग ह्यूमन एट्रीब्यूट्स एंड सैड हार्ट विद द इमोशंस ऑफ सैडनेस. अब आप ये देखें कि ही हैड अरेंज्ड द रेड वेन्ड स्टोन. So he has personified red veined stone as having human attributes because there are veins in it. उसने ये कहा कि रेड वेन्ड स्टोन्स के स्टोन के अंदर ऐसे लगते हैं जैसे रगें हैं, तो वो रगें तो ह्यूमन बीइंग्स के अंदर होती हैं विच सर्कुलेट ब्लड. So he says that red veined stone as having human attribute and sad heart. Now he says that to console his sad heart, to comfort his sad heart. Heart is never sad. It is man or a person himself who is sad. बस इंसान दुख में होता है, दिल कभी दुखता नहीं है. लेकिन sad heart means he has personified this heart by calling it sad heart with the emotions of sadness. I hope it is clear to you. And paraphrases, I started mourning to see my child in pain, and while kissing away his tears, my own tears dropped on his cheeks. It was more painful for me that the child consoled himself by drawing a table near to his bed, and he had arranged his favorite toys on it, like a box of counters, a red veined stone, a piece of a braided glass, some shells, a bottle with bluebell flowers, and 2 French copper coins. These were his favorite toys. It means that he had spent a lot of time with them and consoled himself. He comforted his sad heart with these toys. Coming to stanza number 4. So when that night I prayed to God, I wept and said, Ah, when at last we lie with tranced breath, not vexing thee in death, and thou rememberest of what toys we made our joys. he says that the poet could not control his feelings till long to see this sight, and he turned to God to pray. He became so emotional at that time. पोइट इतना जज्बाती हो गया कि उससे अपनी फीलिंग्स कंट्रोल ही नहीं हो रही थी. वो इतना दुख में आ गया कि वो कहता है कि मैं उस रात फिर मैंने अल्लाह से दुआ की. He asked for forgiveness. उसने अल्लाह से माफ़ी मांगी. Realizing deeply that during our half conscious state when we are about to die, कहते कि जब हमारी मौत का वक्त होगा, जब हम मरने वाले होंगे, we feel quite helpless as we can't resist because man is helpless before death. जाहिरी बात है कि उस वक्त जब हम मरने वाले होते हैं तो उस वक्त हम हेल्पलेस होते हैं. डेफिनेटली हम रेजिस्ट नहीं करते क्योंकि डेथ ने तो आना है. ये अनकंट्रोलेबल है, इसको हम कंट्रोल नहीं कर सकते. सो हिज चाइल्ड सैडनेस मेड हिम रियलाइज द फैक्ट दैट ही हैड ऑल्सो कमिटेड मिस्टेक्स. उसके बच्चे का जो रोना है या उदासी है, उसने उसको एक हकीकत से आशना कराया कि इंसान, ही हैड ऑल्सो कमिटेड मिस्टेक्स. उसने भी तो कितनी मर्तबा गलतियां की होंगी बाय नॉट ओबेइंग हिज डिवाइन फादर दैट इज गॉड. अपने बाप की बात ना मान के, यानी अल्लाह भी तो हमारी, क्योंकि अल्लाह ने हमें क्रिएट किया है. ही इज लाइक अ फादर टू अस. हमने भी तो अल्लाह को कितनी दफा डिसोबे किया. एट दैट टाइम गॉड रिमेंबर्स वेल हाउ वी लेड आवर लाइव्स इन द वर्ल्ड. अल्लाह उस वक्त अच्छे तरीके से जानता है कि हमने दुनिया में अपनी जिंदगी कैसे बसर की. वी नीड नॉट बॉदर हिम बाय मेंशनिंग आवर मिस्टेक्स. हमें मेंशन करने की जरूरत नहीं होती कि हम उस वक्त अल्लाह को परेशान करें या अल्लाह को हम याद करवाएं कि हमारी कौन सी गलती, क्योंकि अल्लाह तो बेहतर जानता है. एज ही नोज फुली वेल व्हाट टॉयज वी हैड इन ऑर्डर टू मेक आवर लाइफ हैप्पी. कि हमारी जिंदगी में हमारे खिलौने क्या थे, हमने अपनी जिंदगी को खुश करने के लिए किन खिलौनों से खेला. What material things we have been using in our lives in order to make our lives comfortable and happy. Here, the term toys is used metaphorically, hint at the materialism of mankind. ये metaphorically hint है, ये इशारा है इंसान की materialism की तरफ कि इंसान कितना दुनियावी है. वो दुनिया की खुशियों में कितना खो जाता है कि बाय अनफेयर मीन्स वो अपनी खुशियां हासिल करने की कोशिश करता है. उस वक्त वो अल्लाह को डिसोबे करता है. फेम, मनी एंड अर्थली सक्सेस बिकम द टॉयज ऑफ एडल्ट्स. हम जो बड़े लोग हैं, दुनिया में हमारे टॉयज क्या हैं? बच्चों के तो ये खिलौने हैं, छोटे छोटे अब्रेडेड पीसेस ऑफ ग्लास. ये डिस्ट्रॉयड छोटे छोटे, वो तो तबाह हुए हुए टूटे फूटे हुए ग्लास, शीशे के टुकड़े थे. एक बॉटल थी जिसके ऊपर ब्लू बेल का प्रिंट बना हुआ था. कॉइन्स थे उसके पास, 2 कॉपर कॉइन्स थे, और उसके पास रेड वेन स्टोन्स थे. उन स्टोन्स के अंदर वेन्स की तरह की लाइंस थी, तो उसे वो सब चीज़ें पसंद थी. शेल्स थे. ये बच्चे के ये मासूम से खिलौने हैं, उसकी ये मासूम खुशियां हैं. जबकि हम जो बड़े लोग हैं, वी रन बिहाइंड फेम, मनी एंड अर्थली सक्सेस. दुनियावी खुशियों की तरफ, दुनियावी कामयाबियों की तरफ हम भागते हैं. यही हमारे खिलौने हैं. ये पैसा हमारा खिलौना है. दुनियावी जो कंफर्ट की चीजें, ये हमारे खिलौने हैं जिनको हासिल करके हम खुदा को भूल जाते हैं, हम उसको डिसोबे करने लगते हैं. As long as they have these things, they remain happy. जब तक हमारे पास ये फेम है, मनी है, दुनियावी खुशियां हैं, दुनिया की खुशियां अगर हमारे पास है तो हम खुश रहते हैं. बाय रेफरिंग टू द चाइल्ड्स टॉयज एंड द टॉयज ऑफ एडल्ट्स, पैटमोर प्रेजेंट्स द थीम ऑफ इनोसेंस वर्सेस वर्ल्डलीनेस. बच्चों के खिलौने और हम बड़ों के क्या खिलौने होते हैं, ये इनके आपस में इनको रेफर करके इनफैक्ट पैटमोर एक थीम प्रेजेंट करता है, इनोसेंस वर्सेस वर्ल्डलीनेस, कि बच्चों की मासूमियत क्या है और हमारी जो दुनियावी खुशियां हैं वो क्या हैं. Now paraphrasing, so that night I prayed to God and wept bitterly. Then I realized that when we would breathe our last and become unconscious, we will be helpless before death. We would never vex you with telling what we had done, as you remember well all our deeds and actions. You remember well what toys we had played with to make ourselves happy and comfortable. Now, the last stanza, how weakly understood thy great commanded good, than fatherly not less, than I whom thou hast moulded from the clay. Thou will leave thy wrath and say, I'll be sorry for their childishness. Explanation is, in this stanza, the poet feels a strong sense of remorse. रिमोर्स, उसे अफसोस हो रहा है, वो पछता रहा है. कंपैशन, उसके अंदर बहुत ज़्यादा वो रहमदिली आ रही है. पिटी एंड सॉरो, तरस जैसी फीलिंग्स, अफसोस जैसी फीलिंग्स पोइट के अंदर है. He said how weak we are, that we have not understood properly the commandments of Allah Almighty. हम कितने कमज़ोर हैं कि हमने अल्लाह के जो अहकामात हैं उनको अच्छे तरीके से नहीं समझा. That they are for the good of human beings, कि अल्लाह ताला के जो अहकामात हैं वो इंसान की बेहतरी के लिए हैं. Whatever God has commanded us to do is for the man's welfare. जो अल्लाह ने हमें हुक्म दिया करने के लिए वो इंसान की बेहतरी के लिए है, and his goodness, और उसकी अच्छाई के लिए. And that is the true path, और यही सच्चा रास्ता है, यही हकीकी रास्ता है. बट थ्रू आउट आवर लाइव्स वी गो अस्ट्रे एंड फॉरगेट द ट्रू टीचिंग्स एंड लेसन्स. लेकिन हम अपनी पूरी ज़िंदगी में हम भटक जाते हैं और जो हकीकी जो तालीमात हैं, जो सबक है, उसको भूल बैठते हैं. द पोइट टू हैज़ बिकम अवेयर ऑफ हिज मिस्टेक्स नाउ. अब पोइट को भी अपनी गलतियों का एहसास हो रहा है. So he said that God is the father of humankind just like him. जैसे वो अपने बच्चे का बाप है, इसी तरह अल्लाह तमाम इंसानियत का बाप है. God is greater than him. But God is greater than him. लेकिन अल्लाह तो बहुत अजीम बाप है. He was the one who molded him from the clay. वही खुदा है जिसने इंसान को मिट्टी से बनाया and provided him spiritual nourishment. और उसके अंदर रूह फूंकी, उसकी रूह को तकवीयत दी to grow both inwardly and outwardly, कि ना सिर्फ वो जिस्मानी तौर पे परवरिश पाए बल्कि वो रूहानी परवरिश भी पाए. Allah has sent humans on this earth to develop both physically and spiritually, but man has preferred worldly life only and regarded worldly fame and wealth more important than real goodness. लेकिन इंसान ने सिर्फ दुनियावी ज़िंदगी को अहमियत दी और दुनियावी शोहरत और दौलत जो है उसको तरक्की देता रहा, उसको हासिल करता रहा. But the poet believes that Allah is so compassionate and kind. लेकिन at the same time poet को इस बात पे भी यकीन है कि अल्लाह तो बहुत मेहरबान है, वो तो बहुत शफीक है. That when we will this world, जब हम इस दुनिया से जाएंगे, he will never scold, rebuke and punish us. अल्लाह हमें कभी नहीं डांटेगा, अल्लाह हमें कभी भी हार्श वर्ड्स हमारे लिए यूज़ नहीं करेगा, हमें सज़ा नहीं देगा. एज द पोइट डिड टू हिज सन, जैसा कि पोइट ने अपने बेटे के साथ किया. बट विल फॉरगिव अस फॉर आवर चाइल्डिश मिस्टेक्स एंड सिंस. लेकिन अल्लाह हमें हमारे बचगाना जो, क्योंकि हम तो अल्लाह के सामने बेशक हम बड़े हैं, हम ये दुनिया की दौलत और शोहरत के पीछे भाग रहे हैं, ये हमारी गलतियां हैं, ये हमारी अल्लाह के सामने तो ये बचगाना गलतियां हैं. अल्लाह के सामने तो हम बच्चे हैं, हम तो बहुत कमज़ोर हैं, तो अल्लाह उनको माफ़ कर देगा. ही वुड बी सॉरी फॉर द चाइल्डिशनेस ऑफ ह्यूमन काइंड. अल्लाह को अफसोस होगा कि इंसान कितना बचगाना हरकतें करता है. द लास्ट लाइन ऑफ द पोम कंटेन्स एन एल्यूजन टू द बिब्लिकल पैसेज. ये जो लास्ट लाइन है, आई विल बी सॉरी फॉर देयर चाइल्डिशनेस, इट इज़ टेकन फ्रॉम बाइबल, कि ये अल्लाह के अल्फाज हैं कि अल्लाह ने ये कहा कि मैं उनकी बचगाना हरकतों के लिए मुझे अफसोस होगा उन पे. ही विश दैट गॉड माइट फॉरगिव द चाइल्डिशनेस ऑफ मैन. क्योंकि अल्लाह यहाँ पे पोइट जो है वो ख्वाहिश भी करता है कि अल्लाह इंसान की ये जो बचगाना गुनाह है उन्हें माफ़ कर देगा. टू err इज़ ह्यूमन, टू फॉरगिव डिवाइन. गलती इंसान का काम है और माफ़ कर देना कुदरत का काम है, खुदा का काम है. वी शुड फॉरगिव द मिस्टेक्स ऑफ पीपल एंड लिव फ्रेंडली विद ऑल. इसीलिए हमें भी सब लोगों की गलतियों को माफ़ करना चाहिए, सबके साथ दोस्ताना तरीके से रहना चाहिए. गॉड इज़ मर्सीफुल ऑन अस, क्योंकि अल्लाह हम पे मेहरबान है. एंड ही फॉरगिव्स दोज पीपल हु फॉरगिव द मिस्टेक्स ऑफ ह्यूमन बीइंग्स. और अल्लाह भी उन लोगों की गलतियों को माफ़ करते हैं जो इंसान की कोताहियों को माफ़ कर देते हैं. Paraphrasing is how weakly we have understood the ways of God. God has commanded us to do well to others and to be kind to them. God himself is fatherly like to us, as he has made us from the clay and made us grow both spiritually and physically. But he is more kind than the poet is to his son. God has created mankind and loves him more, and in the life hereafter, God will forgive us too for our childish mistakes. That is all about explanation and paraphrasing of the poem. Coming to the exercise. What is the theme of the poem, The Toys? At first sight, the poem The Toys by Coventry Patmore sounds to be a poem about parenting in which a father punishes and scolds his son for his wrong deeds and is regretful about his actions afterwards. यानी apparently तो अगर आप देखेंगे तो ये एक father और उसके बच्चे के दरमियान एक वाकया है कि father ने अपने बच्चे को डांटा और फिर उसको harsh words में उसको भेज दिया और फिर बाद में वो अपने इस एक्शन पे अफसोस कर रहा है. बट द पोइट वांट्स टू टेल अस दैट टू err इज ह्यूमन, टू फॉरगिव डिवाइन. लेकिन इसमें एक लेसन है. अ मैन बाय नेचर इज अ बंडल ऑफ वीकनेसेस. He commits mistakes, but God, who has created man, is more merciful, affectionate, and forgiving. He realizes that truth that every human being is a product of God. His poem pictures the sorrows of childhood and the fatherly relationship of God to man. Just like a father punishes a child, God too can punish a man for his wrongdoings, but he forgives. The poet says that his love for his child is nothing as compared to God's love to him. He has scolded his son for his minor mistakes. वो कहता है कि जैसे एक बाप अपने बच्चे से प्यार करता है, उससे कई ज़्यादा अल्लाह इंसान से प्यार करता है. But God loves him so much that he forgives him every time he commits sin. इंसान हर मर्तबा गुनाह करता है, गलती करता है, लेकिन अल्लाह हर मर्तबा उसको माफ़ कर देता है. Man behaves childishly in this earth, and God is a better father than a human being is. Question number 2. The story behind the poem The Toys is a homely one. Narrate the story in your own words. The story behind the poem is a homely one. The theme is more insightful and every parent can relate to it. The poet tells us how he punished his son for disobedience. The child acted and talked just like a grown-up man. He made noise. His father asked him to keep quiet, but the son did not obey him. At seventh time, the father punished his son and sent him away without the usual kisses. The child was much grieved. He left his father and went to bed. After some time, the poet realized that he had made a mistake, as his son was lonely since his mother had died. He feared that the child might not be able to sleep due to his grief. He went to his bedside, but he found the child asleep. His eyelids were swollen due to weeping. His eyelashes were still wet with the drops of tears. The poet weeps to see his son in grief and kisses him. Then he realized that we, the grown-ups, are like children to God and commit mistakes every day. He hopes that God will forgive us too, as he is more merciful and kind. This is a story. What verse style has been adopted by the poet in the poem The Toys? The poem is in a form of narrative. Now, what is narrative? Narrative is a story, written account of connected events. So, the poem is in the form of narrative. The Toys consists of 33 lines, grouped into a single stanza. Patmore shifts from one idea to the other by using end-stopped lines. He uses both the alternative rhyme scheme and the rhyming couplet form. For example, the first two lines of each section begin with the rhyming couplet. See the first two lines, my little son who looked from thoughtful eyes and moved and spoke in quiet grown-up wise. Eyes and wise rhyme with each other. And then in the next stanza, sleep and deep, I visited his bed but found him slumbering deep. So the first two lines, they rhyme with each other. For example, in the beginning, eyes rhyme with wise. In the following four lines, the rhyme scheme is A, B, B, A. Each section similarly ends with two rhyming lines. Besides, there is not any set syllable count per line. So, there is no set syllables in it. That's why the text does not have a set meter. Patmore mostly uses iambic feet for metrically structuring the lines. Iambic. Meter is the rhythmic structure of a line within a work of poetry. So, meter consists of two components, the number of syllables and a pattern of emphasis on those syllables. And what is iambic pentameter? So in this, iambic feet is used like both unstressed and stressed syllables together, which sometimes each verse, a line of verse with 5 metrical feet, each consisted of one short syllable, short and unstressed syllable, followed by one long syllable. So Patmore uses iambic feet for metrically structuring the lines. Question number 4. Does this style suit the mood of the poem and how? The verses of this poem are different from other poems. The lines are uneven and are rhymed in an irregular manner. Patmore uses this device throughout the poem to internally connect the lines. It makes readers go through the lines at a go in order to grasp the overall idea. Coventry Patmore has intentionally done this with the poem, with the style, that because it makes the reader go through the lines at a go. एक ही गो में, एक ही उसमें लय में जो रीडर्स हैं वो पढ़ते जाते हैं स्टोरी को. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, इट अकर्स इन द फर्स्ट 6 lines. Thus, the most remarkable aspect of this poem is not any profound and metaphysical notion, but rather the simple and yet sublime emotions attached with this paternal sentiment. ये जो फादर के जज्बात हैं उससे जो बहुत ही सबलाइम किस्म के, बहुत आला किस्म के उसके जज्बात जुड़े हुए हैं, वो ये सारी चीज़ें बहुत सिंपली हमारे सामने क्लियर हैं. Though this sentimentality was gobbled up by the hyper-sentimental Victorians of Patmore's time, the pathos is sharp enough and universal enough that the poem transcends being a mere period piece and edges towards the realm of eternally relevant humanistic literature. Now, he sees that sentimentality of the poet is gobbled up by the hyper-sentimental Victorians of Patmore time. It is overpowered by the hyper-sentimental Victorians. Patmore time में Victorians की जो hyper-sentimentality थी उसने overcome कर लिया इसको, and the pathos is very sharp. Feelings of pity or sadness is called pathos. It is very sharp and universal enough that the poem transcends being mere period piece or edges towards the realm of eternally relevant humanistic literature. Question number 5. What is symbolic significance of the word toys in the light of the poem The Toys? What is the symbolic significance of the toys? The symbolic significance of the toys is that they represent our pleasures. While children find pleasure in simple toys, grown-ups find pleasure in some undesirable and sinful acts. The poetic persona did not wish to vex or complain to God in death. God, being aware of the acts of his children, knows what toys made their joys. Here, the term toys is used to metaphorically hint at the materialism of mankind. So, fame, money, and earthly success become the toys of adults. As long as they have these things, they remain happy. By referring to the child's toys and the toys of adults, Patmore presents the theme of innocence versus worldliness. Question number 6. How does the poet relate his own action to the mercy of God? यानी उसने जो अपने बेटे के साथ किया तो वो उसको कैसे रिलेट कर रहा है खुदा का के रहम के साथ? He realizes that truth that every human being is a product of God. His poem pictures the sorrows of childhood and the fatherly relationship of God to man. Just like a father punishes a child, God too can punish a man for his wrongdoings, but he forgives. The poet says that his love for his child is nothing as compared to God's love to him. He has scolded his son for his minor mistakes, but God loves him so much that he forgives him every time he commits sin. So man behaves childishly in this earth, and God is a better father than a human being is. Question number 7. What is the tone of the poem, The Toys? Do you think it is in conformity with the theme of the poem? How? The poem shows deep concern of the poet for the religion. Therefore, the tone of the poem is highly religious. It gives us the idea that man is very weak by nature and to err is human, to forgive divine. We commit sins in life, but God is more merciful and he will forgive us in the life after death. The tone of the poem confirms the theme as it teaches us the lesson of mercy and forgiveness. The poet scolds his son harshly, but later on he realizes that he should have forgiven his son since there is no one else to console him. We should be sympathetic towards others and treat others with kindness and affection. Question number 8. What feeling does the poem, The Toys, evoke in you? The poem is powerful enough to evoke emotions. The guilt a father feels after beating his child is expressed in a sensitive manner. Another part of the poem where the poet feels that a child is getting a strong support from the toys in the room. This part is very emotional too because it is very natural. Sometimes when we are emotionally weak, then anything can inspire us. Similarly, we feel very emotional when the poet says that God is more merciful and affectionate and he will forgive our sins after our death as we are like his children. It teaches us a lesson that we should be kind and affectionate to others and be merciful and sympathetic. Coming to vocabulary and grammar section. Question is, fill in the blanks with appropriate words related to weather. It's very breezy today. Now words are given. Some vocabulary words related to weather are given here and we have to choose the appropriate ones. It's very breezy today. I think it's a northern wind. So the next part of the sentence, जो sentence का दूसरा हिस्सा है वो उसका meaning clear कर देता है. They got married on a warm sunny day in June. Wait till the weather is clear to take a bike ride. Number 4. Some people prefer to hike when it's cloudy rather than when it's sunny. Number 5. I hate chilly cold days when I can't warm up. Number 6. The weather is rather rainy today. You should take a rain jacket. Number 7. Next week will be hot and dry. Number 8. The weather is wet this week. I wish it would rain. Number 9. The damp bay can be dangerous if you aren't careful. Number 10. It's so foggy today that I can't see any of the mountains. Number 11. The weather in Murray is often hazy. hazy, foggy यानी धुंध वाला मौसम होता है. Number 12, spring weather often features showery days followed by a few days of sunshine. Number 3, if you are a skier, you will be happy to know that it will be snowy next week. Skier, if you do skiing, so you must be happy to know that it will be snowy next week. Number 4, the stormy weather put him into a foul mood. Now here the stormy is in the blank. Number 15, winter is usually very dull in the north. Now next is match the columns. Big with their synonyms. Now we have to use the similar words from the column 2 and third one. For example, number 1 is big. It has large in the second column as the similar word and enormous in the third column. They mean the same. Number 2, misting, sprinkling, pouring, nibble, eat, gobble, scared, frightened, terrified, toss, throw, slam, yell, shout, bellow. Now, part 2 is fill in the blanks in each sentence with the word that has a stronger meaning from the words given in the parentheses. For example, she dash, don't answer the phone. She said, she screamed. Now, she screamed that. Don't answer the phone. Number 2, Carl liked to stay inside during the dash weather. During the cold weather or during the freezing weather? During the freezing. Cold is a minor word and minor has a minor like cold, and freezing in its intensity, it is more intense than cold. It has stronger meaning. So number 3, the man was furious. Angry or furious? Angry is little mild word, furious is the strong. So the man was furious about the long line at the store. When she woke up, it was raining or pouring? It was pouring. Means continuous rain. Number 5, the dash dog growled at the postman. The large dog or gigantic? So it must be gigantic, definitely. Its next part is fill in the blank in each sentence with the word that has a weaker meaning from the words given in the parentheses. She dash, don't answer the phone. She said or she whispered? She whispered. Weaker meanings, ये थोड़ा light हो अपने meanings में. Carl liked to stay inside during the dash weather. Cold weather or cool weather? During the cool weather. It must be cool. The man was dash about the long line at the store. The man was cross about the long line at the store. So cross is mild in its meaning. When she woke up, it was raining or sprinkling? It was sprinkling. हल्की फुल्की बारिश हो रही थी. The dash dog growled at the postman. The big dog. The large dog growled at the postman. Put the verb into the correct first conditional form. Now see, first conditional is, I had already told you in one of my videos that first conditional is when the first part of the conditional sentence, first part of the sentence with if in it is in present tense. The second part must be in future tense with the use of will. अगर फर्स्ट कंडीशनल सेंटेंसेस वो होते हैं, कंडीशनल सेंटेंसेस तो होते ही वो सेंटेंसेस है जिनमें इफ का यूज होता है. इफ आई डू दिस, इफ वी वर्क हार्ड, इफ वी गो, इफ वी रीच ऑन टाइम एटसेट्रा, जिसमें इफ आएगा. लेकिन फर्स्ट कंडीशनल वो होंगे जिनमें इफ फर्स्ट पार्ट ऑफ द सेंटेंस जो है, इफ जो कंडीशनल सेंटेंसेस हैं वो प्रेजेंट टेंस में होंगे, नेक्स्ट पार्ट ऑफ द सेंटेंस फ्यूचर टेंस में होगा. नाउ सी, If I go out tonight, present tense, I will go to cinema. अगर मैं आज रात बाहर जाऊंगा, जाता हूं, तो मैं सिनेमा जाऊंगा. If you get back late, देखिए present tense, I'll be hungry. So first conditional आपने याद रखना है कि उसमें first जो होगा वो present, जो conditional होगा जिसमें if आएगा जिस part के साथ sentence के, तो वो present tense में होगा. Next part जो होगा वो future में होगा with the use of will and shall. Number 3, if we don't see each other tomorrow, we shall see each other next week. Number 4, if he comes, I'll be surprised. Number 5, if we wait here, we will be late. Number 6, if we go on holiday this summer, we'll go to Spain. Number 7, if the weather is not improved, we will not have a picnic. Number 8, if I don't go to bed early, I shall be tired tomorrow. Number 9, if we eat all this cake, we'll feel sick. Number 10, if you don't want to go out, I'll cook dinner at home. Number 11, I'll come early if you want. They will go to the party if they are invited. Now, conditional part of the sentence with the use of if is always in present tense, and the next part of the sentence is in future. She will stay in London if she gets a job. He will not get a better job if he does not pass this exam. I'll buy a new dress if I have enough money. She will cook dinner if you go to the supermarket. They will go on holiday if they have time. We shall be late if we don't hurry. She will take a taxi if it rains. I shall not go if you don't come with me. Now see, if conditional वाला जो part होगा sentence का, वो present tense में होगा, और rest of the part will be in future tense. This is all about the first conditional sentences. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you would press like button, share it with your friends, those who need it. Subscribe my channel if you have not subscribed before. I thank you all.